The night he stepped into the softly lit cafe, Daniel felt a weight pressing against his chest, a mixture of anxiety, guilt, and a quiet desperation he could barely name. He wasn't supposed to be there. He had no plans, no intentions, and certainly no business accepting a blind date that was arranged for someone else. But when his younger brother, Michael, called in a panic, claiming he couldn't make it, Daniel found himself in a whirlwind of hesitation and impulse, agreeing to take Michael's place. He told himself it was just for a few hours, a way to protect his brother's feelings, a small favor that wouldn't cost him much. He didn't know that within those few hours, his life, and his understanding of love, courage, and forgiveness, would shift forever. Before we go further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet bravery of ordinary people, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel The Kindness Chronicles. Let's spread stories that touch hearts and change lives. Daniel arrived early, the hum of the cafe already alive with conversation, the scent of freshly brewed coffee wrapping around him like a warm, comforting blanket. He found a corner table and sat, nervously tapping his fingers against the polished wood, watching as couples laughed, friends shared secrets, and baristas moved with practiced rhythm behind the counter. He glanced at the door every few seconds, imagining Michael rushing in, panicked but relieved to see his date, but deep down he knew Michael wouldn't come. So, he stayed. When she walked in, Daniel's breath caught in his throat. There was something about her that seemed luminous, not just in appearance, but in the way she carried herself, as if the world around her paused for a brief moment when she moved through it. She scanned the room, a soft smile tugging at her lips, and when her eyes met his, Daniel felt an unfamiliar twinge of responsibility. He introduced himself awkwardly, trying to keep the charade believable, trying to be the brother he had never been able to measure up against. She laughed at his jokes, politely at first, then genuinely, and Daniel found himself relaxing, letting a small, honest smile break through his tension. For the first hour, the conversation meandered through safe topics, books, music, travel, but Daniel couldn't shake a gnawing guilt that pricked at his chest. Every time she laughed, he worried she might realize the truth. What if she found out he wasn't who he said he was? What if she hated him for the deception, even if it was small, even if it was meant to protect his brother? The thought of losing this fragile connection before it had a chance to breathe made his hands sweat and his heart race. Then came the question that changed everything, the question that made time stop and the world narrow down to the two of them sitting in that tiny, glowing corner of the cafe. "Why did your brother suggest you?" she asked softly, her gaze curious but kind, waiting for an answer. Daniel froze. For a heartbeat, he imagined fleeing, making an excuse, disappearing into the night. But something inside him, a quiet, trembling truth he had avoided for years, pulled him forward. He told her everything, the panic call from his brother, the reason he had stepped in, the small, secret fear that he wasn't enough. He told her about the struggles he carried quietly, the mistakes, the fears, and the hope that maybe, just maybe, someone could see past the surface and recognize the heart beneath. Her response was nothing like he expected. She didn't scowl, she didn't recoil. Instead, she reached across the table, her hand brushing against his, and said something so simple, yet so profound, that Daniel felt tears prick the corners of his eyes. She said, "Thank you for being brave enough to show me who you really are." That single line carried more warmth than 1,000 rehearsed compliments. In that moment, Daniel realized that honesty, even when terrifying, was the bridge to connection. It wasn't perfection that mattered, it was courage, vulnerability, and the willingness to step into the unknown. As the night wore on, they talked about everything, their childhoods, their dreams, their fears, and the moments that had defined them. Daniel shared memories he had buried, stories of his brother that revealed both frustration and admiration, while she shared tales of resilience and quiet triumphs no one else knew about. In that dimly lit cafe, the world outside ceased to exist, leaving only the raw, human connection that neither of them had expected but both deeply needed. The evening ended with a promise, not of forever, not of certainty, but of the willingness to meet again, to continue exploring this fragile thread that had tied two strangers together so unexpectedly. Daniel left the cafe that night with a heart both heavier and lighter than before, heavier with the weight of honesty, lighter with the release of fear, and brimming with a hope he hadn't felt in years. He had taken a chance for his brother, but he had found a gift for himself, a reminder that love often comes disguised in moments of courage, and that bravery isn't about grand gestures, but about choosing to show up, even when the outcome is uncertain. In the weeks that followed, Daniel and her, whose name was Emily, wove themselves slowly into each other's lives. There were still awkward moments, moments of doubt and fear, but those were overshadowed by laughter, shared dreams, and quiet evenings where words weren't necessary. Daniel learned that sometimes, life gives you a second chance not in the form you expect, but in a way that reshapes who you are. He had taken his brother's place on a blind date, but he had discovered his own capacity to love, to be vulnerable, and to be seen. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that bravery, honesty, and kindness can transform even the most unexpected moments, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles. Comment below about a time when taking a chance changed your life. It could inspire someone else to step forward, just as Daniel did.